Happy New Year. It's the Warhipster here, coming at you with our first Sprue review video of 2025. Yes, the very first review of the year. And it's an easy one, it's a quiet one, which is just what I need for my aching body. I am not feeling very well at the moment, but I have been working. And I'm okay, honestly. I was really excited for the Iron Jaws, and that's exactly what we're doing today. And a massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending me all of this new stuff, because this is a really cool release in some ways, because it's kind of a little bit of a blueprint for what we might expect for factions going forward in Age of Sigmar. I would guess that if you don't have a terrain piece and you don't have manifestations yet, but you do have wizards or priests, then that's probably what's going to be filled in this year, as well as any characters that you think maybe we should have had one of those for a while. But then again, I could be completely wrong. Age of Sigmar is one of those ones that's just impossible to actually predict what the hell's going to happen, so who knows. But this one, it's not going to set the world on fire in terms of what the new stuff is, but it is definitely filling in those gaps that the range has had for a little while. Also, some of these models are just really cool. The manifestations alone are absolutely fantastic. I love them. They're super orky and they're just great. So bearing all that in mind, I will ask you to please hit that subscribe button, and also like this video and comment below to tell me what you're excited about in 2025 for Age of Sigmar, or indeed anything else, but mostly Age of Sigmar on this particular video. Please do all of that good stuff, the magical YouTube buttons. It really helps the channel, and this year we're going for 100k subscribers. We're on the way, but we've got a long road to go. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's kick 2025 Sprue review, first Sprue review of 2025, off with the Hobgrot Slittaboss. Now, some of you might not think this is a particularly interesting miniature to start with, based on the fact we have the Bossrokk Tower and we also have the manifestations, that's the word. But the reason I wanted to look at this first was because look at the new packaging. I really like this. This is absolutely fantastic. It's just better than those old plastic clam packs. This is really nice. Nice little cardboard box, which hopefully we will now see all of these now move over to, and it should just pull apart, so there's no kind of technique to doing it. One of the things I'm interested in here, oh, we do actually have a piece of sticky tape just there, didn't realise. There we go. So no technically to pulling it apart is what I was saying, and we'll just slide that out. So we should have an actual instruction manual now, rather than the kind of back of a piece of paper, which also serves as your kind of box art. That looks to be everything that's in there. Yeah, all good. Awesome. I think this is a really cool way of doing it. You could obviously also kind of open it from the bottom, just there, which would probably be a little bit easier than trying to do it from the kind of the stand hook up there. But, you know, we're never one to do things easy around here sometimes. So, Hobgrot Slittaboss, here it is. Getting a 32mm base, I'm assuming that is, and we get this little piece of instruction booklet. It's a proper instruction booklet in the sense that it's actually just much higher quality than the paper that went in the front of the old ones. That's a high quality photo just there that you can use as your painting reference, which is really good. And we do actually have a couple of variations in here. As we've seen before, we have two optional heads. We have the one with the there we go, we have the one with the helmet on there, and we have the one without the helmet. And I prefer the one without the helmet just because I don't like how wonky the eyes are on this version. You see, one's like a lot higher up than the other, which is a little bit strange to me. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I just like the one with the eye patch. Anyway, eye patches are cool. So that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 components in total, but you'll only need 7 of those components to put this together, and it is indeed a 32mm base. Perfect. Nice and easy way to start things off. So here is the sprue. It's looking okay. Now we're just going to kind of very briefly touch on this because there isn't actually a lot to go over here. Obviously we only have our 8 components. Now one of the things we're going to look for here is this head with the eye patch. That's connected on the underside of the chin. That's great. It's not on the top here, which would make it annoying. And actually the helmeted one has got 1, 2 and 3 connection points to the sprue right here on the sides of the head, and one up here on the kind of, well, I guess bit of headpiece excellence at the top of the Hobgrot's hat. So that's actually not ideal. It's just going to cause a lot more effort, although it might be your favourite of the two. So just be careful around here. It's quite congested, so you might end up kind of catching it at the wrong angle. The best thing to do here is to probably snip it a little bit further away, round about there, and then kind of attack it from the right angle. This one should be fine. It's a straight on angle, but that is actually a kind of curved out one. So if you just kind of clip it straight, you might end up taking off part of the helmet, which you don't want to do. The weapon here, that's actually attached. Those two kind of bits of twig or bone, whatever it is, just there, those are sculpted together. It's not been pushed or kind of squashed together or bent in transit, which is nice. We do have a connection point there on a kind of, I guess it's a cutting edge of a blade, which is a bit of a no-no, but cutting edges of blades aren't really a feature of this miniature really, so it's going to be kind of facing right up, and it's quite flattened off at the top here, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue to deal with, unless, no, it doesn't overlap onto the other side either, so that's pretty good. It's just a flat on connection, so it's okay, it's not too bad. We have a nice piece of the base here where we're connected on a rock there, a little bit of soil there and a bit of the wood just there, so you know, do with that as you will. The rest of this weapon is connected. These are smooth pieces, which we've already kind of talked about, so just kind of move with the curvature of those. Don't smooth it out too much or apply too much pressure, as it were. But then we're connected right in the wrists, which should connect into the rest of the body, which is just there. So that's okay. This piece, I quite like it. We've already touched on the head. We have one of their scrap blaster or flash blast grenades, or whatever the hell they're called. This is connected once just on the top, kind of on the flat kind of piece of the grenade, which is nice. That's going to be pretty easy to clean up. We have the body. We are connected on the rounded shoulders here and here, which is a bit of a shame. Would have been nice to see the connection point just there on the top of the neck, and then maybe this one here on the pouch we would just forgive in that instance, but these are going to be right on the flesh, and there is not really going to be much that covers that up. In fact, there's nothing that's going to cover that up, so you just want to be careful there. Again, just keep it nice and smooth, not using too much pressure. Take a couple of passes at it and move with the curvature of those shoulders, because again, you don't want to flatten it off, but you also don't want to kind of leave it, because it will leave the kind of gouge marks that it sometimes can from the clippers, or just from getting rid of that kind of extra flash when you clip it off. So just watch out for that. So those shoulders are just going to have to be careful. The pouch isn't too bad, but the shoulders are a big no-no here. Like I said, could have just put the connection point right on the top, up there, or on the underside of the feet, or both. That would have been fine as well. Anyway, the last two pieces, we have the piece of armor, and again, this is similar to the helmet. You want to be careful where you clip it. Just clip it a little bit further back just there, so you can get the angle of the cleanup right here. This one's not too bad because it's right on the underside, so that should be fairly simple. And this one is right up against the edge as well, but it's this one that overlaps onto the kind of the whatever the word I'm looking for but can't find, just there. It's on the facing of the armor, so watch out for that. Again, you don't want to kind of just take off a piece of the armor. We then have the kind of boss pole, for lack of a better word, here, where we're connected on a skull there, on the top of a fleshy head there, and then here on the two bits of the, I guess it's wood or metal or something. These two are okay, but this one, again, and this one, being right on top of this head is a bit of a disappointment. Just a slightly strange placement for it, because it would have been better to have, say, that placement kind of be just kind of, well, maybe sort of around here somewhere on this piece of metal, or even worst case scenario on the top, on the tip there. But at least we're not connected on the ropes there which I guess is a upside. So there we go. That is the Hobgrot Slittaboss. So we shall build it up and we'll see how long it takes to put this guy together. So with this funny little guy all built, that was pretty quick. About 13 minutes or so. Nice. I liked it. Right. Now we're going to move on to another one that's actually more exciting. Depending on your outlook on life. We have the Orruk Warclans manifestations. Yes, endless spells for those of us who've been around for a while. So, the Orruk Warclans are finally getting their manifestations, and we have a box here which has, I think, 4 models in there. Yeah, 4 miniatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that looks like 5. Oh no, these can't be included. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's flip it over. There we go. There's our 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have a variant here, so we can build one as either an Iron Jaws or as a kind of Cruel Boys type orientation, which is cool. So let's get this built, shall we? Probably going to put this one into the Cruel Boys, although I'm sure it doesn't really matter either way. Especially if we are in Big War territory. There we go. Get that open. This is a familiar box as well. There we are. So it's basically like terrain plastic. That is the sort of slightly darker plastic that we generally tend to see in the terrain kits. And again, I don't anticipate these being too intensive to put together, really. So there's one sprue. Here is the other sprue. They're looking like sprues. So here's the manifestations instruction, and we have this base as well, which looks to be like a 60mm round base, maybe something like that. Yeah, 60mm round base. So we have here Gork Roarer, which is this one. We have the Foot of Gork, which is this one, which you build 1 foot and 1 footprint. And we have the Morkspit Marsh. I was not anticipating that being hard to read out straight for the first time. Like I said, we do have our kind of optional things here, choice of parts. You can either put it as Iron Jaws or as a Cruel Boys orientation here and here. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Otherwise, no other kind of optional extras in here to put together. And it's not that many components, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to build over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and then one of these. Oh, there's 2 optionals here. Cool. It's 21 components in total that are in the box. So let's have a look at those sprues. Again, shouldn't be too intensive because they are more based on terrain. It should be fairly 2D in some strange way. So we'll start with this sprue just here. And, well, we get a very big foot just there. These are actually quite large. That's impressive. So, connected all the way around the outside here. Same here, connected all the way around the outside. We do have the kind of like hooks and things just down here where we do have connections points down at the end of the hooks, which is a little bit annoying. But again, it is all still around the outside. So these will kind of might put some pressure on when you clip them. So maybe just clip up here first on the wood, just so that you don't end up kind of snapping or bending those chains too much. We have a piece of the foot just here where we're connected around the outside, not in the flames. That's looking good. We have a handle here for some reason. We have a piece of wood just there, again connected within the wood, not in the kind of tie, the kind of rope tied at the end there. This one here we're connected around the outside, again not in the flames. We have the scare gob, I think is what you would call it, just around here, again all connected around the outside, not in anywhere too congested to get to, so that's pretty nice. we've already talked about these two bits, like we're connected pretty much in just like the soil and stuff, so again not too difficult to deal with. Over here we do have connection points right in and around the smoke, and it is going to be in half, so you might end up with a bit of a gap going along the middle of your manifestation here, so just watch out for that. You might need to use a little bit of green stuff or a lot of glue just to make sure it's all pushed together and looking pretty good. We have a tiny little hand here, so that's probably the smallest piece I've seen so far, component number 16, so watch out for that. That is where it is. Screenshot. And then we have another kind of slightly bigger piece just here, and again another bit of wood where we're connected around the outside. This I'm really impressed by because I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and I really like this just as a piece of terrain, piece of scatter terrain. Looks awesome. Gargants fans, that looks absolutely fantastic for Gargants. Anyway, just for conversion's sake, all that kind of thing. Not that I know that much about that sort of stuff. So last sprue, well, the other sprue here, we have just this kind of large, the Mork's Bit Marsh here, which again connects kind of around here. Got a nice lip here to connect things up, so you don't have to line it up. It should just slot in like that. But again, you might have a bit of a line or a gap going along here, so just kind of use enough glue to kind of make sure that that sticks together, or indeed if you need to, a little bit of green stuff. We don't have any tiny pieces here. We have the other part of the kind of smoky bit, which is the other half of the smoke cloud, where again we're connected in the smoke here and here and here. This one's fine because it's on a smooth area, but this is kind of like billows of smoke here and here, so watch out for those two bits. There is a bit of an overlap here though, so maybe the gap won't be too bad. We'll have to see when we get to it. Connected around the outside of the skull here, we have the iron jaws part of the kind of manifestation thing, which looks pretty nice. It's just connected around the outside in the metal, so that should be really easy to deal with. And we have another part of the jaw, probably for this thing, where we're connected around the outside and on that piece of tooth just there, so that's a bit just to watch out for. You don't want to kind of smooth that off too much. We have another piece of wood over here, looking pretty good. And then finally we have our last two pieces here and here. This is much the same as that one, same kind of concept. Just be careful around the teeth, don't gouge them out too much, but otherwise you should be pretty good because these are all around the kind of smooth pieces. And then this piece of wood, but we're not connected on anything hanging here that's too spindly, but this bit, so again, kind of counterintuitively to the other one where you would want to clip it on the wood first, this one you would want to clip down here first, so you don't apply too much pressure on that coiled rope, if indeed that is a component you wish to use. So that's the manifestations. They're pretty good looking sprues. I'm really impressed with them. I think they look absolutely fantastic, so I guess we should jump in and see how long it takes to build the Orruk Warclans manifestations. So there's all of our manifestations. They're looking pretty good. They actually, again, weren't too difficult to put together, to be honest, but it's really nice to have these. I think they look absolutely fantastic. I'm a big fan of this, I'm a big fan of this, and I'm a big fan of these. And, well, I've already got ideas on how to paint them. We shall have to see, though, if those ideas work. Anyway, we're going to pop these to one side, and we're going to build the last of our new Orruk Warclans miniatures. Well, it's not really a miniature, it's a bigature. It is the Bossrokk Tower. Here it is. So, as I'm sure you guys are aware, the Bossrokk Tower can be built one of two ways. It can be built as a Bossrokk Tower, which is the one that's on the front, or it can be built as a Scare Gob Totem, which is the Cruel Boys version just there. There's obviously a alternate way that you can paint this as well. Nope, that's this, and then the wood is optional. So you can leave the wood off if you want. I'm probably going to build it as a Bossrokk Tower, just because we've done a Cruel Boys one over there. We might as well do an Iron Jaws one for this one. I also just think it looks really cool. So let's have a look, shall we? Oh, there's no tray. It is just a sprue and a base. I thought there was something else rattling around in there. So, that to me looks like a 100mm round base. Let's see, shall we? It is a... Oh, will we ever find out? It is a 100mm round base. There you go. So, just a single sprue, so it shouldn't be too difficult to put together. Now, it looks to me like we're going to be building generically at first, and then we're going to build into a variant, so that the big skull head should be generic, one would think, but we'll find out. That's the Bossrokk Tower. Scaregob Totem. Nope. So that's up to generic part, and then Bossrokk is either green and Scaregob is pink. So you would then add these two pieces to make it a Bossrokk Tower. You would add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces to make it a Scaregob Totem. Well, that would definitely settle it for me because it's less pieces to build with. So there we go. Here is the sprue. It is a terrain sprue, so it is exactly like you would expect. It's the same kind of plastic as we've just had on the manifestations over there, so it's not quite that kind of lighter miniature plastic, as you can see. We'll just do a quick demonstration of that. I mean, that's not really great, is it? You see how it's brighter than this? It's much darker. Anyway, there it is. So like I said, just a single sprue, and this one seems to be the one that actually has a bunch of mold lines on it, which is interesting. The others were really good for that. There weren't that many mold lines, but we do have some here on this large bone, for example, and here on this tusk as well. Now, when it comes to building these pieces of terrain, as always, you just kind of want to build things in a kind of clear thing up, really, by clipping them out and then just moving around the 2D plane of it. So you just kind of clip it out like this and then smooth it down by moving it around like that with your knife or mold line remover, and then you're good to go. You should be okay. And it doesn't look like there's anything in the way of too much of a tiny piece. We have probably the smallest piece over here because it's a little bit spindly because we've got a bit of leather, whatever that is, string, let's just call it string, why not, over there. But otherwise it's all pretty hefty plastic, so that's pretty cool. And well, it looks like to be a really simple piece of terrain to put together. We do have, of course, this absolutely marvelous large headpiece, and I'm just going to check it now because yeah, they do go together, component 1 and 2, so you would flip it round, I guess, depending on what you want, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. No, you just build it and you enjoy it. Oh, in fact, the other one on the other side, when we talked about that potentially being an alternate paint scheme, you leave the wood off. You don't leave the wood off, it's just the back of the skull. I've just realised. Well, there you go. Absolutely fantastic pieces. These two here, really lovely as well. And I love this decking. I think that looks great. What does it look like on the other side? Oh, yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. It's not kind of flat here, so you could use it for something else if you wanted. A really big shield for Kragnos. That would be pretty cool, actually. Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, it's a pretty simple sprue. It looks cool. I really like it. I don't know how much there is for me to talk about. There's going to be mold lines. There's going to be lots of connection points, but it's all going to be around the outside of the pieces, so it should be reasonably simple to clean up and put together, if not time consuming. So we'll have to see how long it takes to build this thing. So in order to do that, we'll be right back. Stumbling over my words. It's already been a long day. Have it, a really simple, quick and easy one today. Not very much in terms of new stuff to look at, but really cool sprues nonetheless. Now, the question as always at this point is whether or not I actually managed to paint it all. And this time, the answer is yes. First up, we have the Hobgrot Slittaboss, who was really fun to return to. It's basically the old Hobgrots scheme, just with a couple of extra bits and bobs here, which is just really nice for me to be able to return to something like that and for it to still hold up. Then we have the Orruk manifestations as well, and I really enjoyed putting these together. I get your Mechanicus standard grey primer for the greener bits, is all I'll say. Wait for the video. Then finally we have the Bossrokk Tower, which is truly imposing. It looks absolutely fantastic. I love this miniature. It's wonderful. I kind of want to get a couple of them, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. I don't know. I wish it wasn't on a base though. That's the only thing. Not only have I done all the new stuff, I've actually also been working on another video in order to continue Project Spearhead from last year, and coming to the channel very shortly will be the Mega Boss and 5 Brutes in a video together, because we have a new Ironjaw Spearhead with which you can play your games with Spearhead now at long last, so that's absolutely fantastic. So continuing in the vein of last year's Project Spearhead, don't worry, I've got you covered. So with all that in mind, what do we actually think about the sprues? Well, I mean, to be honest, there's not a huge amount that we can really write home about. One of them is a terrain piece, so it is what it is, and the other is the manifestations, and well, there's a little bit more to talk about there in terms of whether or not they actually go together, which they do, which is nice. The only one that's a slight difficult one is the Mork Spit Marsh. There's a little bit of a slight difficulty in terms of maybe making sure it's 100% together in the middle in the pool, but that's the only thing that really kind of bothers you there. The Hobgrot Slittaboss as well, it's a bit of a Marmite model, I understand. Some people don't like it, some people think it's boring. I personally think it's really nice, and it's cool to actually have a Hobgrot character. I thought for ages there needed to be a Hobgrot character that maybe actually came out with Dominion to make the Hobgrots actually make sense in the Cruel Boys range, but at least now they do. In some ways they make a little bit more sense, at least now that they have their own boss character, which is pretty cool. It's a nice gap fill, as it were. And you know, as we've mentioned, they didn't have any of their endless spells manifestations, and we didn't have our own terrain piece yet for the Orruks, and I really like that it's a set that can be built either way. That's really nice, which does actually mean you end up with a couple of extra bits left over for customizing some of your other miniatures, which is cool. You probably don't need to buy 2 sets of the manifestations, to be fair. It doesn't really matter that way. The tower, maybe, if you have a Cruel Boys and an Ironjaw set, but at the same time you could probably just paint up the wooden plank and just sort of slot that in there if you really needed to just to kind of make it look like the other one. Scaregob Totem, is that what it's called? I obviously did the Bossrokk Tower because it was boss. So overall, what do we rate this release? Well, as a gap filling release, it's pretty good. Would we like to have seen more miniatures? Yeah, of course, absolutely. We always do. We always want to see more miniatures for everything. See some slightly heavier infantry for the Cruel Boys, for example. Maybe see some crossbow wielding Ironjaws. Maybe, I don't know. That might be a little too much to ask, or sort of, you know, anything, whatever. There is always a desire for more infantry, more monsters, more everything. However, now that there's an Ironjaw Spearhead to go alongside the Cruel Boys Spearhead, you now have your own manifestations, and you have your own terrain piece, and a character to fill in a gap for what I thought was missing a character. Overall, I just think it's a nice release. I think it's perfectly adequate, and yeah, I like it. Nothing redesigned here. So on the Land Raider scale, I think we'll go for a nice solid 7 out of 10, I think, for this one. Like I said, there could be more going on here, but there isn't, and that's perfectly fine. At least to kick the year off. It's absolutely fine. Now, I apologise if this video seems to have lost some of my usual charisma. However, I am now going to return to my bed. Well, I say that I'm going to edit this video now, but then I'm going to return to my bed and get well for another week of Warhammer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.